Everyone's so quiet. All right. I am going to get us going here to kind of stay on time. Again, welcome to our Hawk Talk. This is the session regarding multi-interested students, which we refer to instead of saying undecided. We think that's more positive, that you have many interests, and that is okay. And as you'll hear from the students today, some of them, maybe all of them, started out that way as well, and are certainly finding their way as they continue on their journey in college. Again, welcome. I'm Jill Cardinal, Campus Event Coordinator. Lynn McCarthy is joining me, and she is our Regional Director and will be our chat moderator today. So as you see, there are some chats started. Feel free at any point to ask questions or comments, and then we will try to address those through the time that we're on the session today. But as we begin, I'd like to introduce and have them introduce themselves, the students that we have with us today. So I'll start with Jacob, if you would share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Jacob Zilke. I am from Whitewater, Wisconsin. That's in southern Wisconsin, if anybody knows where that is. My majors right now are business management and music. However, when I came in my first year, I was undecided and continued to be undecided until my sophomore year. And basically after that, I had a few classes underneath my belt and decided to go with music and business management.
Wonderful. Lauren.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lauren VanDen Heuvel. I am a senior here at Ripon College, and I'm from Ashwaubenon, Wisconsin, which, for those of you who don't know, is like essentially just a smaller part of Green Bay. So here at Ripon, I'm majoring in English, and I actually have 3 minors. I'm minoring in history, ancient medieval Renaissance studies, and education. So the goal by the end of this fall is to be a high school English teacher with hopefully the history in there too.
Wonderful. Alexis, can you go ahead?
Hi guys, I'm Alexis. I'm a junior. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm majoring in psychology and I'm minoring in exercise science. I originally came in as sports management, so I did change at the end of my freshman year, and I'm on the dance team here.
Good. Sophie.
Hi, I'm Sophie. I'm also a junior. I am from Princeton, Wisconsin, really close by Ripon, and I am majoring in education and psychology.
Perfect. And Tyler.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm from Aurora, Illinois. I'm a double major in finance and economics with a minor in political science, and I also play baseball here.
Wonderful. Great. So a good variety of where you're from and majors. So again, we're going to kind of go through and get to know how the paths were created for these students and things that they've done and enjoyed at Ripon. Lauren, would you start us off with maybe just telling us why you initially chose Ripon?
Yeah. So I had a few different colleges that I was looking at for when I was still deciding everything. By the end of it, for me, it was really narrowed down to either UW Eau Claire or Ripon. And they're both excellent schools. I think that I would have been, happy at Eau Claire, but when I was touring Ripon and just the more I visited, this just felt like a place that I could feel at home, and that was really important to me. I really love the size of Ripon, and I'm sure that you guys have heard on all the promotional things, like we have small class sizes, you really get to know your professors, but that's honestly so true, and that was a big draw for me being here. And yeah, it's just a great community, and it's a community that I really wanted to be a part of.
Great, thank you. Tyler, you talked already, you mentioned that you are an athlete and double major. What was your first year like, and what kind of courses did you take, if you can remember back to your first year?
Yeah, we're gonna bring back the good old times. 4 years ago. All right. My first year, when I stepped on campus, I felt like home, but it was still kind of nerve-wracking being on a college campus, and you're taking a little bit tougher courses than you were in high school and everything. And now you're manager, and now I was managing athletics on top of that, whereas in high school, it was just during the spring. Now it's pretty much year round. But finding the right balance between classes and athletic was what really helped me out. And then being on such a small campus as well, I created such a great relationship with my professors. They helped me out through everything, which, I really took advantage of. And that's really what helped me through it my first year.
Great.
And
Before we go on, I want to run a poll question quickly, just to kind of get a feel of where we have students, where their minds are at. So I will begin one of our polls here, and you can see the poll hopefully now, and you can go ahead and vote. As we're getting the results, and I'll stop this in a minute. Looks like we have one or two more responses coming in. All right, maybe one more. All right, I'm gonna end there we go, end the poll and share the results of that one. So it looks like many of our students on the call have ideas but don't know how to decide yet, which again, I think we want to focus on that and talk about how that works for students here. And let's see, I think I wanna run the second poll if I can stop share results, and poll 2. Let's just see how much of you know about Ripon College. And a couple more answers to come in, and perfect. I will end the polling on that one and share results. And there again, how much do you know about Ripon College? It looks like many of you are in that some. You've started to look at schools and have heard from other people, and certainly some of you have done some research, so that's wonderful. And good, I just wanted to kind of get a few of those out there to kind of see where things were going. And again, remember, if you want to ask questions in the chat box, please do that. My next question goes to Sophie. You mentioned, to those who don't know, Princeton is literally 20 minutes from here. Why did you choose Ripon, and what was your favorite thing about the first year?
I chose Ripon kind of because it was close to home, but I think I would have chosen it if it was somewhere as well. But that was definitely played a little bit of a part, just because it's easy to go home back and forth. But my part about my first year, school-wise, it was probably the catalog, because I could choose lots of classes, because I did come my first year super undecided, super multi-interested.
Yes.
So I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So that let me try lots of different things and kind of figure it out. But then not school-wise, my favorite part was just like meeting a bunch of new people. So.
Good, wonderful. And then Alexis, you're from a little farther from us in Illinois. Can you tell me how perhaps you feel like professors and things, you mentioned changing your major, but how did they have an impact on that? And how did you come to decide on psychology?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I took a Catalyst class, and it kind of had a psychology theme to it. It was called Learning and Remembering, so it was kind of all about like your brain and like how you memorize things when you're studying, how can you tweak your own memory. That's kind of where I got interested in psychology. I hadn't taken any psychology classes prior to that, but the professor of that Catalyst class, she was a psychology professor here. So I kind of started to talk to her, like I'm kind of interested in this, but I don't really know. Also going along with kind of what Sophie said is because I was taking Catalyst, I had freedom to choose a lot of other classes. So I took a management class, I took a business class, I took a bunch of other areas. So I kind of was like, yeah, I don't really want to do sports management. I don't like the business side of things. I took some exercise science classes, and I was definitely liking those. So I knew I wanted to do something with that. So it was definitely, once I sat down and talked to my Catalyst professor, she ended up actually becoming my academic advisor. So she kind of helped me structure my classes for my sophomore year. And from there, I was able to pick my major with her and pick my classes with her. So she was a huge, huge help in me picking my major for sure.
Great. Good. Jacob, finally, you're not real far from Ripon, but not super close. But how did you come across Ripon, and why did you choose Ripon ultimately?
Right. I'm only about an hour and 40 minutes away, which is pretty nice because that's the distance where you're just far enough that you feel like you're somewhere different, but it's not far enough to be like I'm totally disconnected from everything that's happening at home. Um, I originally came to Badger Boys in between my junior and senior year, and that was my first kind of introduction to Ripon College. And I thought it was super cool. I didn't really know much about it. I knew that Badger Boys was held there, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's a tiny college. That's neat. But also growing up in a college town, uh, my high school was very involved with UW Whitewater, and I'd be over there probably every other week, either doing stuff with music or doing stuff with sports in high school. And I ended up choosing Ripon basically because of the school size. You know, I knew what UW Whitewater was like where you have thousands of people and you walk down between class buildings and there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people crowding the sidewalk. And now walking through Ripon, especially during Badger Boys, even when there is more people at Badger Boys than there is enrolled at Ripon College, sometimes you feel like that size is a lot nicer and you feel a lot more comfortable, you know, being yourself, walking through the streets, being able to say hi to that person you saw in your class because you can actually see them in your class instead of sitting 20 rows behind them in a large lecture hall.
Right.
So that's kind of what drew me to Ripon College.
Very good. Cool. Let's move on to Lauren again. You are a senior, of course. Can you tell us about the Catalyst, the 300 level seminar that you would have finished last year, correct?
Yeah. So how the Catalyst works is that you have 2 classes each year, freshman and sophomore years, and then they lead up to, you just have 1 Catalyst your junior year, which is, it's not really a class so much as it is, you're put in a group of like 4 to 5 people usually, and you're given a choice of problems that you can then propose a solution for. So I was in a group with 4 other students, and with the Catalyst 300, each student is a different major. So like I'm an English major, but I was working with like a business major and a chemistry major. So it was really cool to have everybody's different perspectives brought to the table. And we were looking at homelessness in the Los Angeles region, and we proposed a solution to basically implement a facility that it wasn't like an overnight shelter, but it would provide like services such as you know, like doctors' checkups, and provide materials and help with like job counseling and things like that. So we basically looked at things in that area, and we kind of like compiled it into one system, and we looked at like how much it would cost, how we would get funding. So basically we were proposing the solution, but we were using all things that exist in the real world. So of course we didn't actually like build this facility, but the entire semester we spent researching and figuring out, okay, you know, hypothetically, if we were to make this solution real, what would we do and could we do it? So yeah, we spent the semester doing that, and then because of COVID, everything was online, but normally there's like a Catalyst day where everybody presents their solution, and you do have to write a paper up on it too, but basically you're taking all the skills that you've learned in the previous Catalyst classes, and it all comes together in this one final project that you then present on, and you're able to show off your you know, writing and presentation skills, as well as everything that went into actually doing the research behind your solution.
Oh, thank you. Great.
There is a question that came in,
Yes.
if I could interrupt. So Tyler, Mr. Baseball, there's a question from a student wondering, were you recruited to play baseball or did you walk on at Ripon? And maybe you can speak to each one of those options.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was recruited to play baseball here. You know, if you're an athlete looking to come here to play a sport, I'm pretty sure if you go to riponredhawks.com, it's our sports page. There's links in there to fill out a prospect questionnaire. Or what I did is I actually reached directly out to my coach through email, and we connected through that. walking on, I don't know about that, to be honest with you, Lynn. You know, I know a lot, especially for baseball. You know, we see a lot more of people that are recruited than walked on, but I don't know about other sports, to be honest. So I'm sorry about that aspect.
The questionnaire is the best way to go, quite honestly. On our website, fill out the prospect questionnaire, and coaches will be very pleased to learn more about you and reach out.
Absolutely.
What position, Tyler?
I am a first baseman. I used to be a catcher, but my knees feel like they're 80 years old already. So first base is the life for now.
Good deal. Thank you, Tyler. I'm going to move to, I think, Sophie. You are going into education. I know your father is a teacher, but tell me about the influence from professors on campus. And was your dad an influence, or was it professors that influenced you?
Well, my dad didn't really want to. He was like, try thinking about something else. So because I did kind of always want to go into education, but I wasn't sure if it was really for me. So when like I mentioned, my first year, I started just kind of taking courses that I thought would be interesting. So I kind of did that, and my favorite one was an education course. So I took my first education course with Professor Eastman, and I was like, this is super cool. So the professors in education definitely did influence me. Professor Rigdon, I've known her for a super long time, actually, just from being from the area, but she's the head of the education department, and so just talking with her was super helpful, and she definitely influenced my decision as well. She was like, no, I think that would be good for you, and I was like, oh, good.
Mm. There is another question, Jill.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Tyler, the question is it stressful being a student athlete? But I think that because so many of you are involved in a variety of activities, maybe others of you can, after Tyler's finished, kind of chime in to the whole issue of balancing social activities, academics, outside work, other involvements.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't classify it as really stressful. I would say being a college athlete is definitely a different grind than you would see in high school. Depending on the level of competition you're playing as well. But I would say, if you're considering being a student athlete, whether it's at Ripon College or a different college, my best advice is to pursue your dream. I was in the boat coming into senior year of high school where I was debating not playing in high school or playing in college, just going there for education. My parents swayed me to continue playing throughout college, and it honestly has been, the best time of my life continuing to play the sport I love in college.
Great. Is there one more question, Lynn?
Well, maybe Jacob, as a busy
Sure.
student musician, you can chime in on some of your experiences and the balance of it all.
Yeah, so basically the difference between Ripon and lots of other schools for music is the ability to do music while you're also doing a lot of other things. So most schools, you'll notice, especially larger schools, will have a music major only band, and then we'll have bands that trickle down where it's music minors, and then people who just want to play, and then possibly like a community band. So here at Ripon, the only ensembles we offer are open to music majors, minors, people who enjoy playing, and community members. The only ensemble that's not open to community members is a chamber singers group, and that's only students are able to do that. But basically, we rehearse, I think, a total of about 3 hours a week for each wind ensemble, and I think the choirs rehearse for about 4 hours a week. So it's very doable, and it definitely gives you enough time, and everyone's very flexible in the music department because they know that if you're a music major, you are probably also majoring or minoring in something else, and they'll give you that flexibility you need while still making sure you're getting the music education you like and developing your personal skills on your instrument or voice as well. And if you play an odd instrument, like we do have a few organ players, we do have an organ, and we bring in an organ professor that went to, I think, Yale, to teach organ. And so if you play an instrument that we may not have a professor for, you can also take lessons there and fit that into your schedule however it may work out.
Alexis, maybe you'd like to talk on the dance team a little bit about that experience and how you manage those things.
Yeah, definitely agree with what Tyler said. It was definitely really fun to continue dancing in college, which was something I definitely wanted to do. Definitely encouraged me to come to Ripon. I would say my biggest advice for not getting overly stressed with balancing too much stuff is definitely time management. I'm not sure if the rest of you guys could back me up on that, but I would definitely say get a planner or Google Calendar or something like that where you can just plan your weeks out in advance. So like put in like your due dates or when you have a game or a performance, just so nothing comes at you all at once. You kind of know when things are coming up. So it definitely can help you be better prepared, and that definitely takes a lot of stress off of things too. So definitely just planning and definitely being more organized because you're going to have a lot more going on at once.
Mm-hmm. And as you're speaking, Alexis, maybe this next question you mentioned earlier, somebody has asked how are freshman advisors assigned? Do you want to answer that, Alexis, how you first came to choose classes and then how you got your major advisor?
Yeah, sure. So usually when you come in, if you know what area of study you want to do, you're going to get an advisor for that area of study. So when I came in, my academic advisor was for business and management. But basically every semester you just sit down with your advisor and you just talk about what classes you want to take, and they kind of advise you on what classes they think you should take, and they kind of make sure you're staying on track, you're hitting all of your requirements for graduation, you're not falling behind. But yeah, if you do ever switch areas of study, you can switch your academic advisors. So when I switched over to psychology, I was able to switch to a psychology advisor. I do remember though, when I did switch, like my old advisor, he was still like, you know, if you ever need anything, I'm still here and I'm willing to help you. So all of the advisors are really great in making sure you're good.
Great.
Jill, you might want to direct this question to who you prefer, but another question from a student is, how can I better prepare for college even if I don't know what my major might be?
So that's a great question. So first, if our panelists, raise your hand if you truly came in as multi-interested, undecided, of the panelists. Okay, so that's great. So tell us, maybe Jacob or Lauren. Lauren, let's go to you. Lauren, what would be your advice, I guess, to a senior in high school looking back? Like, how can they prepare for school if they don't know what they want to do? What advice would you give?
Yeah, so when I came to Ripon, I had an idea of what I maybe wanted to do, but I didn't want to like lock myself down in that idea for the rest of college, because I knew that I might change my mind and I wanted to be open to, you know, trying different things and just exploring my interests. So I guess my advice would be, like, don't worry about it too much, because when you come to Ripon, you're going to have so many opportunities to take lots of different classes, you know, join different clubs, try different extracurriculars, whatever you're interested in. So if you have some ideas in mind, like, don't just, you know, push those aside or disregard them. But if you really don't know, you have plenty of time to figure it out. And, like, I have friends right now who are, you know, sophomores, and when they came in, they didn't have a clue what they were going to do, and now they've kind of figured it out, because just after, you know, a few semesters of taking classes, you kind of figure out what you like, or maybe you have a certain subject or professor that really resonates with you. So I guess to boil that all down, my biggest piece of advice is to just be open and try lots of different things, and to not worry about it too much, because I think as long as you're putting in that effort to, you know, try and find what you're most interested in, it's going to work out in the end.
I'm an admission counselor. I'm totally going off the rails here. I know I'm not invited to chime in, but I'm going to. So I feel so often your teachers, your classmates, parents, neighbor friends, it seems everyone wants to know what your life goal is, what your plan is, what you're going to do. And it all just kind of comes in. I don't expect people want you to feel bad, but you shouldn't feel bad if you're not sure. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be hard on yourself. College is a chance for you to explore the opportunities and let it unfold. And I find so often that high school seniors feel bad if they don't have a plan in place. And there's a big life to live yet. And Ripon will help you figure it out. and will support and encourage you. So from our perspective, it's absolutely fine, and you shouldn't be too hard on yourself while you're navigating senior year.
That's why, we do refer to students as multi-interested. It's not a negative connotation to not know what you want to major in. And you're young, there's lots of things to do, lots of topics and areas at any school that you can take part in and look into and explore. And you don't need to have a major. And speaking of that, maybe Jacob, if you could talk about more with that first semester, the classes that you had, and talking about how our Catalyst curriculum, how that works.
Yeah, so my first semester of college, early sometime my first year, I think I took a theater class, I took a econ class, I took a computer science class, and I took a music class. Kind of related, econ and I guess computer science and, music and theater are very related. But if I were to major in one thing, I would never have taken all 4 of those classes. And that's kind of what my first 2, even first 3 semesters were kind of comprised of, was, kind of classes that from high school I said, these are interesting subjects to me. Well, let's take at least one class in that subject that would be cool. And adding that into, or adding a Catalyst class into that as well, gives you basically one thing you probably never thought you were going to do in college. I never thought I was going to be interested in literature or any sort of English classes coming into college. But my first year here, I did take a literature class that dealt with African Americans in literature and movies. And that was, I think, one of the best Catalyst classes that I've taken so far. Even though coming out of high school, I'm like, I finished my 4 years of English. I'm good. Moving on to stuff I feel like I want to do. So I think that Catalyst class in there will force you to go after something you didn't really think you were interested in, and possibly find a love for it, or possibly, reinstate into you that you're like, yeah, this isn't what I want to do, but now I know I have the skill if I need to at some point in my life with a different class.
Great. Maybe I could ask all of you to tell us the title and kind of topic of a favorite Catalyst class. Again, the Catalyst is our take on general education requirements. We have these 5 courses that every student at Ripon takes. They're one at a time. You can't skip them or miss them. It's part of the curriculum. And then each of those categories has a different skill set and different topics and things you can take. But Alexis, if you want to start us off and maybe telling us the favorite class you had and something about it.
Sure. So my very first Catalyst as a freshman was called Technology and Culture. It was with Professor Eastman. And the skills that we were learning through that class were writing skills. So we learned how to write all the different types of essays that you're going to need to know. Whatever you major in, you're going to need to know how to write these papers. But the theme of it was technology and culture. And I thought it was really cool because it was a lot of like conspiracy theory based stuff, which like I'm super into. So we read a lot of books. We watched episodes of like Black Mirror and stuff like that. So I thought like the content that we were really given in class was super interesting and super engaging. We would do a lot of like class discussions, and everyone in the class was super into it. So right away, I kind of had a really good experience with my first Catalyst class.
Great. Sophie, you share your favorite?
I think my favorite Catalyst course was called Energy and Body, and it was like the chemistry of food. So it was pretty interesting. We had Professor Scan for that class, which I would have pretty much never taken a chemistry course. That sounds great for me. But that class he made super fun and easy. We got to go to his house and make cookies, pretty cool. And we got to like test out the ingredients in the cookies. It would change how they were baked. So that was a lot of fun, and we got to eat cookies. So that's my favorite Catalyst course.
Cookies are never bad. Tyler, favorite course through Catalyst?
Yeah, so mine was Eastern Asian Civilization. So that's a 200 level course, I'm pretty sure. where it was a lot of intercultural competence. So I had that with Professor Colucci, who is actually a political professor here. So he made it fun.
Good. Jacob, did you tell us already your favorite? I can't remember now.
Yeah, mine was definitely that African American
Oh, yeah.
literature and movies.
My bad. Lauren, how about you?
Yeah, so my favorite catalyst was the intercultural catalyst class. I can't remember the title of it, but it was a class where essentially the first half we looked at the history of Spain and Spanish culture, and then the second half we looked at like Latin America and South America and looked at like different current events going on in more recent history. And it was just a super great class. The professor is a Spanish professor, and he's just very smart, very knowledgeable person. But it was one of those classes, like we did something new each day. Like one day we'd come in and we'd be analyzing a piece of art or a poem or literature. And then the next day we'd come in and talk about history. And then the next day we'd come in and talk about current events. So I just really liked that class because the professor was super engaging, and even though everything was like focused around either like Spanish or Hispanic culture, we just brought in a ton of different things and kind of did something a little bit different each day centered around this theme. So it was really, you know, an interesting and exciting class to be in.
Very good.
I also took that catalyst
Yeah.
my sophomore year with Professor Reed, and it was really interesting. I felt like it was really mind opening just to hear about other histories and cultures from in different countries. So it was really cool.
Very good.
And how many
Oh,
pardon
sorry.
me, Jill.
No, go ahead. You're reading the chat. Go ahead.
how many catalyst classes are there to choose from as you're registering for classes, students?
A lot.
Tyler, you want to answer that one?
I mean, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but you do have a wide variety to choose from, all the way from 110 all the way up to 220.
Yeah, and it's gonna vary depending on like which semester you're looking at. Catalyst 220, which is like your final like regular class, I guess, is always team taught. So usually there are fewer options for that just because each class requires 2 professors. But when I came in as a freshman, there were like, you know, 10, 12 different catalyst classes to choose from. So you definitely have a lot of options, and they're all very like unique topics, I feel like. So for me, it was like, oh, like a lot of these look interesting. I want to take more than one, but in the end, you just have to make your pick and, you know, choose the one that you want.
Also, when you're picking 2, you get to pick like your top 3 or 4.
Mhm.
So like if you don't get into one, you can get into one of your other choices. So you don't like only have to pick one.
Right. Good point. Yes, there's usually a handful of each section of the course, 110, 120, and then you're going to let us, you know, let your advisor know which ones sound good to you, and they'll place you in one of those. I'm going to ask a question, and Lynn's going to watch our chat for the person who gets it right. So ready? I'm going to ask you a quick one, and this is for a prize. So can anybody listening on the students tell us how many catalyst classes there are?
How many required catalyst
How many
classes?
required? I'll make that clear. Yes. How many are required? Yeah, there you go. It's Jeopardy. I guess we need to cover that better. Nope. There we go. I think we
Alex
got
Burke,
Alex Burke got it.
first
Lynn will
on the
jot
chart.
that down. Good job. It is 5, 1 per semester for the first 2 years, and then you do a junior seminar, which is also a Catalyst course. And that's 20 credits out of the 124 you need to graduate. So a very small piece of the pie is required at Ripon. One more quick question while we're doing that for fun. I'll get back to some of the chat questions. Can anybody tell me, what does Ripon College call it when you are undecided? What is the term we use? Lynn, oh, there you go. As I said, Lynn, make your TikToking noise.
Woo.
Hope got it right. It is
Oh, Gaga.
interested. So Hope got that one. Great. Okay. There is a question. Yeah, Lynn, go ahead.
Thanks. In the chat, there is a question just to you students regarding the value and the expenses involved in a Ripon education. Every family's circumstance is different, and you all know we use the FAFSA to help determine your financial aid award, though there are certainly scholarships available. How would you all, or some of you, react to the expense of Ripon and your ability to leave with the diploma and get on with your life?
We don't want you to tell us, how much your family makes, but if you can tell us, when you looked at it, I guess just how did you and your family feel about the cost to attend Ripon, maybe? Jacob.
Yeah, so at face value, when you see that 5-0 followed by 3 more zeros, it's a little intimidating to start. That's more expensive a year than what a lot of cars you can buy are. But when you start diving deeper in to see how many scholarships you receive at Ripon, it makes that number a lot better. To put that into perspective, I have a few friends that are going to UW-Madison right now that are paying more per semester than I am, yet Ripon is much more expensive. So no matter, especially my family put a lot of emphasis on, how you stood in high school, what your GPA was, where you were in your class. But regardless of where you are in your high school class, you're going to get probably a really nice scholarship from Ripon if you come here, which is really great because a lot of other schools, unless you're, number one with a 4.8 GPA or something, you're not going to get a scholarship. And that's kind of also why I chose Ripon, because it was very nice to receive money, because it felt like I was valued, even though I wasn't, I didn't have that 4.8 GPA. I wasn't number one in my class. So it was just very nice knowing and having that money, which made the price and the value of a smaller education a lot better for me.
Any other panelists want to speak to the cost? Yes, Lauren.
Yeah, so I feel like my story is almost exactly the same as Jacob's. At first, when I saw the cost of Ripon, it was definitely like, oh, this is like an expensive school. But then once I received my financial aid package, for me, I'm paying about the same as a state school. And Jacob said, like, he has friends at Madison. I have the exact same thing. My younger sister is at Madison right now, and her cost per semester is actually more than what I'm paying right now. And Jill, Lynn, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say 99% of students that come to Ripon receive financial aid.
I will correct that number. 100%.
100%.
Oh, nice.
So 100% of our students.
So yeah, if that number is daunting to you, wait until you receive that financial aid package, because that initial number that you're looking at is not going to be what you're actually going to be paying semester by semester.
Exactly. And good segue. Lynn, if you would put in the chat at some point here, the next Hawk Talk we have is September 30th, and that is regarding financial aid. So if you haven't signed up for that yet, it's the same sort of format as this. We will have our financial aid staff members joining us, and they will answer and talk through concerns you might have regarding the FAFSA or financial aid in general, and scholarships and loans and things like that. So it's a good session to join. Otherwise, counselors, myself and Lynn and others that work at Ripon, we are more than happy to talk with you. Again, don't let the dollar sign scare you, because we do offer wonderful academic scholarships. I know there's a couple of questions in the Q&A I'm gonna do, and as Lynn is getting that maybe into the chat as far as the next Hawk Talk. Someone asked in the questions about tutoring. Any of you have a tutor or are a tutor? Lauren, she's eager to that one. Go ahead and answer that. How does that work?
Yeah, I was going to say, I can speak to that because I've been working as a tutor now. This is my second year doing it. So we actually have 3 different types of tutoring on campus. So pretty much any help that you'd be wanting to receive, it's very easy. So the first type of tutoring we have is contracted tutoring, which is basically one-on-one. So say, you're in a biology class, you need a tutor. You put in that application for a tutor, and then like every student that is a tutor received either an A or a B in that class, and obviously has finished the class and taken it. So you'll be paired with somebody who already took the class, did very well in it, and will be able to help you with that. And I want to say contracted tutors meet with their students for 2 hours a week. And like I said, it's one-on-one, super intimate, definitely very personalized. And then we also have 2 types of drop-in tutors. So we have quantitative drop-in tutors, which is basically that there's always at least 1, if not 2 tutors on duty. And if you have any questions about, math, science, anything technology related, you can just go to our tutoring center and speak with that tutor one-on-one. So, if you have a calculus problem that you don't understand, go to the tutoring center and they'll be able to walk you through that. And then the type of tutor that I am a writing and presentation tutor. So similar to quantitative drop-in tutoring, there's always at least 1, if not 2 of us on duty, and we have really great hours. During the week, there's always at least 1 student on duty from noon to midnight. So, if you have that paper due the next day and you're pulling a late night, we're here for you. And then our hours are a little bit more limited on the weekends, but same with quantitative tutoring. If you want to bring in a paper that you've written, or if you want to do a presentation for us, you just bring in that paper and we'll help you with anything that you're, like any stage you're at with the paper. So if you're finished and you just need a grammar check, we'll do that for you. If you just have some ideas floating around and you don't really know where to start your paper at any point that you're at, we'll basically sit down, read what you have, and answer your questions, help you improve it, walk you through any places that you might be stuck on. And all tutoring for students is completely free. So if you need a tutor, you don't need to worry about cost. You don't need to worry about anything like that. But yeah, tutors are available for all students all the time for whatever you need. And as a tutor, I really love it. But I've also used all of those, tutoring services before, and it's really great. I mean, obviously I work as a tutor, so I'm biased, but I can't speak about it highly enough, because to have so many resources for free, I just think it's a really great resource for academics.
Have any of you had tutoring on the panel? Any of you have asked for a tutor, had a tutor for a class at all, or used the services? Yes? You want to tell us a little bit about that? Alexis, go for it.
I definitely always use the writing and presentation support a lot. Like anytime I have a really big essay or paper, I always send it into them. It's just good to get another set of eyes just to like look over and just like peer review for you. You can also talk to them like what exactly you're looking for. So maybe it's like check my spelling and grammar. You can also send them your rubric so they make sure you're kind of hitting everything. I have found that to be super, super beneficial for me. I've also, my freshman year, I've had contracted tutors. So I thought that was really fun. I felt like I got close with my tutor over the semester, where towards the end, she was almost like a friend to me. And now like we always like say hi when we see each other, and we'll like check up on each other and stuff. So I've definitely enjoyed the tutoring here for sure.
Great. Someone asked a question about COVID. Of course, it's on the top of our minds and things. I'd like a couple of you maybe to talk about what's happening on campus now. Maybe first to talk about how you feel the college is responding to COVID and what you were doing to protect ourselves. And then secondly, maybe what life is like for you outside of the classroom. So if anyone wants to answer that, raise your hand, jump in. Go ahead, Jacob. It's all yours.
Great. So coming in, I was definitely nervous about coming back to college. If you lived at home this past summer, you felt pretty comfortable living with your family unit, whether it be 3, 4, 5, 6 people. And wherever you went during the day, you always know that you came back and you were probably going to be pretty safe in your home. Because it's a lot easier to keep clean, a lot easier to kind of, take your mask off and let your guard down a little bit when you're at home. So I think my biggest concern was coming back into the dorms and having like people that you had no idea where they were all summer. You don't know what they do on their weekends. and stuff like that, and having to intermingle with them and stuff like that. So the first week was a little nerve-wracking, seeing when, people are coming from their homes and what's about to happen. I think our first weekend here was a little bit of a shock for some people, like how this was actually going to be handled. The college was very clear from the beginning about social distancing, masks, cleanliness policies, and all that kind of stuff. Limited classroom sizes, even smaller than what we probably would have had in the past. And now I think everyone is kind of catching on to those, and we're doing quite well with having hardly any cases. I mean, you've probably seen on the news about all the other schools that just have hundreds and hundreds of cases already, and it's their first week or two starting, and we're here, I think, starting our fourth week, and we've had a fraction of the amount, and we're still going to classes, we're still in person, we're still able to go eat at our cafeteria, we're still able to go down and work out, we're still able to go down and practice our instruments. So I think the college has done a great job, and I think all of the students are doing a great job of following those guidelines to keep all of us safe. And, I think every student's looking forward to staying here the rest of the semester because of what's happening.
Thank you. Yes, we are masked up all the time, pretty much anywhere you're on campus except your own dorm room. Tyler or Alexis, as athletes, tell us about the COVID and how that's affecting your athletic parts of campus. Tyler, I know that you're a baseball player and eager to play the game, but what are you doing now to prep for that?
Yeah, absolutely. When we're working out inside, we just started up team workouts with our new strength and conditioning coach last week. Even while we were outside, we had to be masked on the whole time. Inside in the weight room, we are, in small groups, mask on the whole time as well. We actually just started up baseball practice today, and we have to break it out into sessions the rest of the day. So I know like the first group starts at 9 a.m. and I think the last group just ended. So we go throughout the whole day, small groups. I think I had maybe 5 guys with me in my group today. And masks on, when we're in close vicinity, but when we're out on the field, we're far enough away to where we don't necessarily need to be masked up because we're not in a close proximity. But with athletics, especially going into Wilmore now, we're getting screened. We have our temperatures checked before we get on the field, before we go work out in Wilmore. So that's kind of what's going on with baseball right now.
Great. Alexis, anything in the dance team world? Are you practicing?
Yeah, kind of basically the same thing that Tyler described, 6 feet apart, masked up. We're not having any competitive sports till at least after December 31st. So right now you're not going to see any games or performances, but we're trying to set some goals, hopefully when we come back after winter break. Also what Tyler was mentioning, every time you walk into the Wilmore Center, which is our athletic center, you do get screened, you get your temperature taken. We also have what's called our Campus Clear app. So every morning when you wake up, you basically open your app and you put your symptoms in. I can show you mine. I don't know if you guys can see it. It has like a little smiley face kind of, but it basically says after I put my symptoms in, which day I had no symptoms, it says good to go. So then when you walk in any facility, you just show whoever's working there, you show them that you're good to go. So that's kind of our way of monitoring things too.
Good. There was a question about a non-binding, or if we are a non-binding application, and yes, you have the choice to enroll at Ripon until May 1st. Any application and awards that we give you, nothing is set in stone for you until you decide to enroll. That was a question out there. So if you haven't applied, it's free. We make it quite simple with the application and your transcripts, and we are test optional. Test optional means that we do not have to have your scores for ACT or SAT. That is up to you to send those in if you choose. And basically we would tell you that if you did really well and did satisfactory in a test, go ahead and include it. But maybe you didn't do that test so well, don't worry about it. We will look at your GPA and the courses you took. Again, we are always eager to help answer questions at Ripon. You can reach any admission counselor and chat with us about your decision to apply and questions you may have. We're gonna be out of time here in just a few minutes. This has been great discussion. Students that are listening in, if you have any last minute comments or questions, please do so now. I hate to not be able to answer things for you. We're asked about the recording, and yes, this will be up on YouTube probably within a day or two. And I believe you can just search for Ripon College Hawk Talk, and you should be able to see them. The one that we held, let's see, last month, we discussed applying and more general things that way, but that it should be on YouTube as well. You can check that out. And same goes for any future Hawk Talks. We will record those, and you can check those things out later on down the road. Lynn, maybe you would be able to put up the visit information and students can jot down. So if you have not been to visit campus, we are offering on-campus tours, and we also have virtual tours. So whatever works for you, we are taking students in one family at a time to visit, but you certainly can register for that. And virtual, we do offer those at this point 4 times per day. And again, you can get online and do through Zoom, see the video. You will meet with an ambassador. We have 3 ambassadors here with us. Alexis, Sophie, and Tyler are all student ambassadors for the admission office. So you might get a chance to meet with them again through a Zoom video and virtual visit. Let's see, let's give one more prize away. Lynn, do you have a question? Anything that you want to ask for a little quiz?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Man, oh man. Okay, this is going to be a quick on the draw. Get ready to answer. The question is, can you major in more than one area of study at Ripon College?
There you go. Darian, if I'm saying that correctly. Oh, I'm sorry. Cheyenne got it first. Sorry,
Awesome.
Cheyenne. Yep,
Okay, Cheyenne,
they're
congratulations.
fast. And you are all correct. I think most of, if not all of you, are doing more than one thing. That's correct. All of you are doing more than one thing. So that is something you can do at Ripon. And just for fun, as we end and you think of any last minute questions, I'm going to do one more poll if I can make this work for us. Maybe. Let me, oh, maybe I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to try one more
I'll talk while you're doing that, Jill.
Okay, go ahead.
So what was I going to say? Oh, don't also presume that what you major in has to be the direction that you will take for the rest of your life. An academic major and a degree from Ripon will serve you well regardless of how your life unfolds. That's another thing I think so often high school seniors are sort of forced into believing that they have to choose a major that's going to get them a job. That's not the way we think at Ripon College. We'll help prepare you for your life and give you a skill set that will serve you well. How many of you students would agree with that? Raise your hand.
There you go. And I've got the poll up. I'm just getting a few more responses just for fun. I asked a fun question about a tiny house or a penthouse. And it looks like we've got most everybody answered and results are in. It looks like more of you would prefer that penthouse apartment. And then whoops, let me, one more thing here. I got one more poll. Stop sharing, and one more poll question for fun before we end things. Here is one more question. Kind of end on a college related. And a couple more seconds and we'll end that polling. All right, so, and share results on that one. More of you chose dorm rooms, so that is fun, just to kind of get things going there. Good. I really appreciate all of our student panelists. First of all, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to all of you joining us on the other side of the computer. We really appreciate you tuning in to listen to us. Again, watch for future Hawk Talks. We plan to do several more of these this fall to hopefully stay connected. And we wish you all the best this senior year. And we look forward to reading your applications. So with that, I will sign off. Thank you so much. Take
night.
care.
Take
Bye.
care.